DC is buzzing right now between new relief packages, antitrust MOUs, and tariff defeats.
And bees are singing as a new technology might just protect them against mites, and flies are gearing up to take the New World screwworm by storm.
And we can't forget about the latest release in the dirty soda fad. We're covering all of this right now on Magnetic Ag Ears Edition. I'm Braeden.
And I'm Savannah.
Welcome to Magnetic Ag Ears Edition.
Every week, we break down the top headlines and trends facing food and agriculture.
Fast, fun, and actually useful. Let's get it. Imagine you're trying to wipe out one of ag's nastiest pests without radiation. Sounds like sci-fi, right?
But it's real. The U.S. Department of Energy and Texas A&M are teaming up to stop the New World screwworm, a parasite so gnarly it literally eats living flesh. And they're doing it with a techie twist: electronic beam sterilization.
So here's the story. Screwworms were recently spotted just 70 miles from the US border, and USDA isn't playing around. Their plan is to release swarms of sterile male flies into the wild to block reproduction. It's called the sterile insect technique, or SIT for short, and it's been used before, but usually with cobalt-60 radiation.
The problem is cobalt-60 comes with a major security risk. So the National Nuclear Security Administration said, quote, "Let's go radioactive free." And then they hit up Texas A&M's National Center for Electronic Beam Research to make it happen.
E-beam technology skips the radioactive source entirely, meaning fewer security headaches and faster fly production, like 100 million sterile flies in 24 hours kind of fast.
And this is a big deal when we're racing against an outbreak that could threaten livestock, food security, and trade. Plus, it's another example of how national security and ag innovation go hand in hand.
So Savannah, we need to look at what's next. The USDA is setting up a fly dispersal facility in Texas and backing this five-pronged plan to shut screwworms down. If this works, it could redefine pest control in the US and give Cobalt 60 the boot.
Argentina's soybean strategy is putting U.S. farmers in the squeeze, and the American Soybean Association is sounding the alarms, literally.
Savannah, earlier this week, Argentina temporarily suspended its export taxes on soybeans, taxes that are normally quite steep. That gave Argentinian soybeans an instant price advantage in the global marketplace.
Almost simultaneously, the U.S. Treasury announced that the U.S. might extend a $20 billion swap line to Argentina and even consider buying its sovereign debt. But the timing is painful. Within hours, China reportedly booked about 20 shiploads of soybeans from Argentina.
The American Soybean Association, or the ASA, didn't sit quietly. ASA President Caleb Ragland issued a statement saying U.S. soybean farmers have been very clear. The administration needs to secure a trade deal with China. With China still imposing 20% retaliatory tariffs on U.S. soy, the doors slammed shut on U.S. exports, and now Argentina is slipping right in.
ASA is sounding the alarms because U.S. farmers can't wait. They want the U.S. government to make soybeans a top priority in negotiations with China because China is the world's largest soybean buyer. U.S. soybean buyers are already being sidelined this marketing year by tariffs, with zero new U.S. soy sales going to China.
And on top of all of that, additional soybeans are flooding the international market. Global prices could soften, which ripples back to U.S. farmers already trying to manage these tight margins. If U.S. soy can't reach China, we could become vulnerable, not only in agricultural terms, but geopolitically, especially as trade diplomacy intensifies.
In the chess match of global soy, Argentina just played a bold pawn move, waiving its export taxes and selling cargoes to China just as the U.S. extends economic lifelines. Whether the U.S. responds with stronger trade diplomacy or political realignment, and how fast, will tell whether the end is as a check on U.S. ag interests or a checkmate for American soy.
Savannah, as you know, harvest is well underway in many states. We have the inside scoop on which 3 states are leading the way this year, according to the September 29th update from the National Ag Statistics Service.
Corn harvest sees the same top three states as last week, with North Carolina being bumped up to first with 82% harvested, Texas falling second with 79%, and Tennessee staying steady in third at 69% harvested.
And the South is still in the heat of soybean harvest. Soybean harvest in Louisiana is at 78%, with Mississippi right there in second at 66%, and Arkansas was really busy, jumping nearly 20% from our last update, all the way up to 44%.
Cotton harvest finally got rolling this week, seeing 13 of the top 15 states on the board. Cotton harvest in Arizona is at 32% harvested, Louisiana is 31%, and Texas falling in third at 26% harvested.
Savannah, we're still not seeing a whole lot of sorghum harvest action yet, but sorghum harvest in Texas is already at 80%, and in a not so close second place, Oklahoma mentioned again at 25%.
Farmers are squeezed between rising costs and falling prices. Two major moves were announced this week. One puts cash on the table, and another puts regulators in the driver's seat.
At the Ag Outlook Forum in Kansas City, Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins unveiled what her team is calling an immediate relief package. The USDA will purchase 417,000 metric tons of commodities, mostly corn and sorghum, as part of U.S. food aid and export expansion programs.
Now, that's more than just generosity overseas. It's a twofer. First, it injects demands into the domestic market at a time when many farmers are staring at a surplus and slumping commodity prices. Secondly, it helps the U.S. bolster its standing as an exporter and soften trade relations in part of the world that relies on U.S. agriculture.
The second, perhaps less flashy, the USDA and the Department of Justice have signed a memorandum of understanding to cooperate on antitrust enforcement in agricultural markets.
The idea is that rising input costs, think fertilizer, seed, machinery, may not just be market forces at work. Some of it might be market power, monopolistic practices, oblique supply chains, and anti competitive conduct by big agribusinesses.
Under the MOU, the Antitrust Division of the DOJ will more closely coordinate with USDA to, quote, scrutinize competitive conditions in supply chains, share information, and enforce more rigorously in the input space.
So let's connect the dots. The commodity purchases give farmers more of a buyer in a down market. It provides liquidity and cushion, especially for those who might otherwise be forced to sell at rock bottom prices. The antitrust move is a preventative measure. If successful, it could help rein in abusive practices that distort input pricing over time that reduces input costs, improving margins.
But there are some caveats, Savannah. The purchase helps some crops, but not all of them. Livestock, specialty crops, dairy sectors may all feel left out. Antitrust is slow. For farmers in crisis right now, waiting for the investigation's conclusion may just feel like being handed a band aid. And the cost to taxpayers is pretty real. These purchases and enforcement efforts aren't free.
Moving forward, be on the lookout for more economic aid this fall, increased pressure from farm groups, and check out who is eligible for these payouts. Big news in the bee world. The EPA just approved Noroa, the first ever RNA based treatment for Varroa mites. These mites are the number one threat to honeybee colonies, and this tech could be game changer.
Savannah, varroa mites can double their population every 30 days, spreading viruses and wrecking hives. Chemical treatments like amitraz have been to the go to for decades, but mites are building resistance fast.
That's where Noroa comes in. Developed by Greenlight bioscientists, it uses RNA inference to precisely stop Varroa reproduction and then safely break down in the hive. Field trials showed over 90% success, all while leaving bees, humans, and other insects unharmed.
And the timing couldn't be more critical. Between June 2024 and March 2025, US beekeepers lost 1.7 million colonies, with some operations seeing 62% losses. Without new solutions, experts warn losses could hit 70% in 2025.
Noroa's active ingredient, Vodescanda, offers a brand new mode of action for beekeepers. It's safe, effective, and could help protect pollinators for more than 100 U.S. crops.
The product will be available exclusively through Man Lake dealers. For beekeepers, this isn't just another tool, this could be the lifeline their hive has been waiting for.
Bees are vital for our U.S. food system. With Naroa, they might finally get the backup they need.
Let's tune in for a weekly market pulse. We've got the highs and lows impacting your bottom line. Pulled from the September 29th AgWeb report.
Live cattle October are up 0.125 to 231.45.
Feeder cattle in October are up 3.35 to 359.55.
October lean hogs are down 0.8 to 135.
December corn is down $5 to $4.16.
For soybeans, November down 6 to 10.04.
If you spent more than 3 minutes on TikTok lately, you've probably seen it. Soda plus creamer plus flavored syrup equals a dirty soda. It's a Gen Z fueled, swig inspired, and Utah born craze. And now PepsiCo is even in on the action.
Dirty Mountain Dew cream soda has officially entered the chat. Yes, it's real and hitting shelves nationwide in 2026. Pepsi's mashing that signature citrusy dew flavor with a classic cream soda to ride the viral wave, and they're the first in the bottle dirty soda retail area.
Now, why would PepsiCo do this? Simply put, the dirty soda market is booming, growing at 42%, while traditional soda sales are falling flat. I mean, you can find a swig on almost every street corner now. And that's because market research shows that Gen Z consumers are all about customization, unique flavor boosts, and booze free premium experiences that also feel like a treat.
And while most dirty sodas have stayed at soda fountains and swig shops, Mountain Dew is turning this trend mainstream. No syrups, no pumps, no creamer hacking, just grab and go indulgence with a neon green twist.
PepsiCo is betting big, and Dirty Dew might just become the next flagship flavor in the soft drink arms race.
The real question is, Braeden, will it dethrone Baja Blast? Who knows? But one thing's for sure, dirty soda just got a lot more shelf space.
Maybe making it a little dirty will help me like Mountain Dew more. But count me in for a trip to Swig for a spring fling.
But for me, I have not jumped on that dirty soda train. Catch me putting all those fun flavors into an iced latte.
Savannah, you really are a latte girly. Maybe we can talk about coffee next time on Magnetic Ag Ears Edition. Hungry for more?
Subscribe to our twice weekly newsletter for more industry news right in your inbox.
Or follow along on socials at magnetic.ag for more trends and headlines.
Thanks for listening to Magnetic Ag Ears Edition.